Um, Hello, everyone. This is Simaya Kar. I am chair of IEEE Women in Engineering Turkey Section Affinity Group. And today you're watching IEEE Women in Engineering ET Talk, one of the initiative by Turkey Section Affinity Group. We started this initiative more than maybe last month. And then actually it was the first session we were together with wonderful leaders of IEEE Women in Engineering. Actually, we named this session as Women in Engineering Leaders of Last Decade because like here we are together with the women engineering leaders of last 10 years. And here we are so excited. So we are repeating this session another second time. This time we are live on YouTube. This is an opportunity for the audience as well. Ask your question. So we're gonna have very nice conversation today, and that will be a very natural talk. We're very excited. So I would like to start, but before we start, I would like to remind all the audiences. So feel free to ask your questions. So leave your message on the chat box during the session or after the session during the question and answer section. We will be addressing your questions. Thank you for watching. And I would like to welcome all of you. Thank you for joining today. Takako, Ramalata, Lisa, Nita, and Borjana. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're very excited. So I kindly ask you to introduce yourself, your professional life, and your volunteer life one by one, so we can know you a little bit better. Can we start with Takako?
Oh, yes. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Takako Hashimoto, Vice President and Professor of Chiba University of Commerce. Yeah, I started my career in STEM from Ricoh, one of the major industries in Japan, as a software engineer. While working at Ricoh, I developed database systems, business intelligence systems as a technical leader, and led several international collaborative researches with US, Germany, and Hungary. And I also received my PhD while working at Ricoh as well. My current research topic is artificial intelligence, and such as machine learning and data mining. And especially, I am focusing on social media analytics research, Twitter analysis after the disaster, like the East Japan earthquake and COVID-19, like this situation. So, and also, I am now promoting the SDGs research as well. So SDGs to realize SDGs using international information technology. And personally, I have two children, and son and a daughter. And fortunately, they are old enough, so I'm basically I am free, so I can do everything, the volunteer work and also research work. Yeah. And in IEEE, I have started my journey as an IEEE volunteer in around 2005 as a member of IEEE Japan Council Women in Engineering member. At that time, there are very few women engineers, especially in Japan. And I became the IEEE Region 10 WIE coordinator in 2011 to 14 as the successor of Ramalata. And I became the WIE International Chair in 2015 and 16 as the successor of Niter. So I have really good predecessors. And also now I am serving as a Region 10 secretary, working for Region 10. And also now a member of the IEEE Educational Activity Board as a technical society representative. So I am very enjoying my position in IEEE as well as my work. Thank you.
Thank you, Takako. So I would like to continue with Ramalata. So in this session, you were 2011 and 2013 women engineering leader, but of course, all of you have amazing career stories, and also a lot of other IEEE volunteer leadership positions. So can we also know you a little bit more better?
Sure. So I was the first girl from my community to take up engineering around 35 years ago. And I completed my undergraduate and went into teaching because I was passionate about teaching. And after going into teaching, I understood that it is a wonderful career, not a career, in fact, it is a service area where I can mold my students to whatever I need to. So I went into something special called assistive technology, and we started working on research, especially with people with special needs, people of underprivileged areas, all most of the sustainable development goals right now, which has been identified. We went into them for research and we worked on it. I have a patent. I have around 60 papers and 10 book chapters, 6 books, all these published with the help of the research that I have worked with my students. As for my career in IEEE is concerned, I started with volunteering in Madras section. At the first time I started, I didn't even know what IEEE was and how the sections, regions, all the structures of IEEE conglomerated together to give us a wonderful experience. Within 1 year, I was hooked up. And I started with the IEEE Women in Engineering first, and seeing that this was the first step taken towards diversity and inclusion. The Madras section leadership asked me to start again a section Women in Engineering affinity group. We started the humanitarian activities for the first time in Region 10. And because of this, we were awarded the IEEE Women in Engineering Affinity Group of the Year award within the 2 years of starting the affinity group itself. And this gave us so much of encouragement. And I proposed for the first Region 10 Women in Engineering Congress. Before that, there was no Region 10 Women in Engineering Congress. So I proposed for it. And luckily for me, Yanina Majieska, who was the Region 10 director, she agreed on it. And she supported me like to the end of it. And following that, I was appointed as the Region 10 Women in Engineering. And there, my international career into IEEE started. After that, I have been the chair of IEEE Women in Engineering. I have been on the board of governors of SSIT for 3 years, the chapter's chair, and also as the initiator of the Women in Engineering effort under SSIT. And right now, I'm on the board of governors of the Computer Society. And again, I'm on the Diversity and Inclusion Task Force under the Computer Society. I'm also the representative to the Women in Engineering Committee. I'm a member of the Conferences Committee as well as the Awards Committee. So I feel that whatever experiences I have gained only because of the people who are there to mentor me, to help me, and it is an amazing place for me to learn and also to grow. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Can we continue with Lita?
These are tough acts to follow. These are formidable stories. Thank you. My name is Lisa Lazarick Asunta, and I'm the current chair for Women in Engineering 2019 and 2020. My story is slightly different. I think we all have slightly different stories. Personally, I come from a background of electrical engineering. My applications have always been in the biomedical realm. And when I finished my PhD, I did a postdoc. I seem to have a story that is that has milestones on difficult times. So in 2008, I finished just as the financial crash happened, and I ended up getting a job at a very large charity, and then went a slightly different route from academia. And I worked in public engagement with science and engineering. I worked in the research landscape area, thinking about how we support women in particular to stay into academia. And now my job is about impact. So these words like public engagement and impact, they mean different things to different people. But at the moment, what I'm looking at is the impact of academic research outside of academia. So that could be in the policy space, the environment space, the economy, or culture. And how do you articulate that? And that's a bit of my personal life. I still wear my engineering ring, and I very much identify myself as an engineer. My volunteer life began at the student level when we started a student chapter for Engineering and Medicine and Biology Society. So one of the technical societies that IEEE has. That was, again, focused on my area of interest, biomedicine. And from starting a student chapter at my university back in Canada, I ended up actually becoming the student rep for the entire society. So my global career in IEEE started quite quickly. So I was the global student rep, and then I was the young professionals rep. And then I was actually mentored into the position of women in engineering rep. And then I've had various other roles strategically within IEEE. And then sort of in parallel with all of these things, I became a voting member of WIE and now the chair. That's quite enough, I think. We could talk about other things later. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Of course, we'll talk more. I would like to continue with Nita.
Thank you, Samay. It's great to be here, and I think we talked about this before, just to see everybody on the call that we haven't seen in a while. It's nice to be around. I am a Senior Director of Engineering at L3 Harris Technologies. Our focus is around night vision systems. My background is electrical engineering, but I've always been a systems engineer from pretty early age, integrating computing, electronics, algorithms, signal processing into designing a solution that we can use. So that's a little bit about my professional life. And IEEE, I've been a volunteer since college days, similar to several stories we've heard. And from there, I've served as IEEE USA, Ada Kappa Nu board. Currently, I'm on the IEEE Foundation board. I've served as a Computer Society board. I'm running for Computer Society President-elect this year. And one of my most favorite parts of the IEEE volunteer experience has been the role with IEEE Women in Engineering, being able to serve as chair and then launching the Women in Engineering International Leadership Conference. That's a bit about my IEEE.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we're really, like proud to hear that you're running for IEEE Computer Society President.
Yes.
And we'd like to continue with Bożena.
Hello.
Bożena, can we know you?
Hello, everyone. And unfortunately, my camera doesn't work temporarily, but maybe I will try to fix later. But anyway, I am Bożena Pasik-Duncan, and it's just privilege to be with you and with all of you today. I am professor of mathematics and engineering at University of Kansas, but I speak to you from Santa Monica, California, where I got caught during that coronavirus crisis. And I taught the entire semester from such a long distance from California, but my students were somehow extremely adapted to the situation. And my area of research is stochastic adaptive control. I love IEEE because IEEE, can you see, is inclusive. I am a mathematician, educated with all degrees from Poland, from Warsaw University and Warsaw School of Economics. And but I moved to the United States because I follow a man. I met my husband in Poland at the Control Conference, and this part of my career is maybe not the best one, that I follow a man. I shouldn't maybe say like that, but I never wanted to leave Poland, but somehow, can you see the situation is I'm expert in probability, they say. So I generate those events that occur with probability 0. So anyway, I follow and I came and I joined. My husband is also faculty at the same department, which is additional challenge. I was the first one who was accommodated as a spouse. And now you would never believe my department, small department, only 40 people, has 9 couples. So it's absolutely incredibly beautiful attitude of university, of the department, and that issue of two-body problem is beautifully solved, and it works beautifully. So IEEE, I started in 1987 when I attended the first control conference. My home is IEEE Control System Society, but I belong also to another 8 societies. Why? Because I do interdisciplinary research. And I love getting out of the box and meeting other researchers who can contribute so much to my area with different ideas, with different tools. And at that conference in Los Angeles, where I am here, at that conference, program chair of conference approached me and brought to my attention that only 2 women out of 7 presenters were just, female presenters. So he says he knew me from Poland, that I was very actively involved in making changes. So he says, I need your help. We need your help. Whenever somebody, this is, maybe I shouldn't share that, but this is something about me. Whenever somebody will say, I need your help, I never said during my long career, I never said no. So I help people, and this is what my mother used to tell me. I was born to help others, and I was born to be a teacher. I love teaching, and I IEEE became immediately with that approach, that somebody, my colleague whom I trusted, who I adored, admired with research, with everything, when he asked, make a change, I started lunches with 3 people, 4 women, 5 at every conference. And I remember in Beijing, I grabbed at the Congress 34 young women for lunch, and I pay from my pockets for those lunches. But now, Control System Society is a role model for just accommodating so many women, on the average 80, 100 women at lunch at every control conference. And they support, and they really provide support. So IEEE became part of me. I was vice president of the Control System Society. I've been so many different roles and positions. And the most challenging probably was being chair of IEEE Women in Engineering, because I wanted to make dramatic change at once. Because you see, you are very young, you have time. I am senior, so I think about my daughter who is 35, that I don't have too much time. I want to change, make change now. So when I observe protests here in Santa Monica every day, I am part of that. I share feelings that change needs to be done, and it's great time to make changes. So I will stop because I could speak forever about IEEE and about volunteer work. So beneficial. And I was lucky. And you see, I had Nita and Takako who for continuity, they introduced me beautifully to the organization and position. And as mathematician, I always believe that continuity is absolutely one of the most powerful property of any function. So I love that. So I pay tribute to Nita and Takaka for introducing me so beautifully to this organization and to IEEE. I will stop at this moment and
You know, that's an actually fact. We can also hear you and listen you hours and hours, and same for all of you. It's the hardest part for this session because you're together with these amazing women that just like we want to listen more and more of all your stories and visions, but we're gonna have more time to speak more. So and we want you to share your story. It's actually time to inspire all volunteers, and not only IEEE volunteers, like as you all said, like we're the change makers. So like and you contributed a lot for this community. So like you still do. It's not just for women in engineering, but from your leadership positions in women engineering and everything you do in your career, in your volunteer life, you do a lot of contributions. So we all change the world and everyone's life in good direction. So thank you for all. And so actually, I would like to start with another discussion about your vision. So your vision for women in engineering and women in engineering's future direction. So in last 10 years, that as leaders, as you contributed a lot and you made a lot of great changes, and thanks to you, IEEE Women Engineering is going in great direction. So this is actually the 20 next year is the 25th anniversary of Women Engineering in IEEE, and in last 10 years, like probably all of us have a lot of impact and inspiration from you as leaders. And I would like to, for this question, actually discussion topic, I would like to start with Lisa as current chair. And maybe, when we talk about your vision for women engineering, maybe we started with your stories, but we never mentioned about women in engineering yet in detail. For those who are watching us and who we expect just everyone to know women in engineering, but in case somebody doesn't know, just briefly who we are, like from women engineering, and your specifically your vision on women engineering.
Sure
Lisa,
thing.
can we start with you?
Absolutely. Women in Engineering was created 25 years ago as of next year. That's an awkward way of saying it, isn't it? But the history of it is sad. Let's see how. Okay, so if you've never heard of Women in Engineering and you come to this talk, it's an organization of roughly 20,000 members who pay for an additional membership in addition to their IEEE membership. So Women in Engineering is considered as a slight special interest group. The reason why it was developed is because IEEE was recognizing that there were difficulties in gender in our profession. And of course, this doesn't apply universally across the world. There are different issues in India than there are in Canada. There are different issues in America than there are in Japan and Turkey. We could probably get into those on this call. But the idea was that IEEE wanted to do something, and WIE wants to do something. We have a mission and vision statement. And Samay, while I'm chatting, I'm very happy for you to copy and paste the mission and vision into the chat function so people can read it for themselves. But essentially, without having the sort of memorized it, we are trying to make a difference in this world. And that landscape has changed dramatically from where we started and where we're at now. So last year, IEEE decided to approve a diversity and inclusion statement. We're in a world where voices start to matter more and more. And what WIE has been very successful at over the years is inspiring its membership, both men and women and other, however you see yourself, to to go out to young women, to universities, to high schools, within the profession, and really get your necks out there, stick your head above everybody else, and say that actually we want to do something for women. We want to have a networking function, or we want to talk to kids in schools. And what always strikes me as amazing is how inspired people are, and they do this on behalf of WIE. Look at Simei. She's literally physically put WIE on her wall in her home. This is something that no one's paying her to do, and this is what inspires me all the time. WIE has been excellent at this over the years. We have really excelled in activity. So we have around 20,000 members. We have 900 affinity groups around the world, and these are groups of people who have come together to officially form a group. We have the leadership conference. We have 10 summits every year. But where we're going is very interesting as well, because actually WIE is in some ways responsible for all things women, because it's in our title. In the structure of IEEE, anything women will come to us. But what I'm finding more and more is that the idea of gender equality and being an international organization is actually starting to proliferate amongst all facets of IEEE. So conferences, technical activities, and more WIE is being put into a position where we can leverage our partnerships and create more partnerships rather than being the sole structure in IEEE that is responsible for women. And it's been slow moving, but I think in the last couple of years in particular, and especially with diversity and inclusion coming to the fore, and you can see what's happening all around the world, that voices matter and that people are speaking. And I think in terms of future direction, WIE is more so going to be, again, reanalyzing, well, who do we need to partner with to do this, rather than how do we do things ourselves?
Thank you, Lisa, for sharing. Can we continue with Bojana?
I wanted to compliment Lisa. Lisa really took a very good way. What I from my reflections, what is very important, what Lisa already said, that women in engineering are really play important role globally in IEEE. It means that, that make that network a very important network, bring visibility to women in engineering across IEEE. So that all other, because, I've been helped by men. I would make unbelievable, unlimited support from my male colleagues for just what I was doing, what I'm doing. And I also value tremendously that I had, as a chair, I had opportunity to visit so many countries. My goal was, I was always on the plane, even going to India just for 20 hours, whatever, and flight was 30 hours with connections. But for me, it was important to be part of the culture. As already Lisa said also, we are different and cultures are so different, but it's extremely important to know. And for me, that was great opportunity. And I also believe that it's very important that those senior members of WIE are brought to the picture, brought together because they have incredible role to elevate, to advise, to mentor younger people. Younger people need that kind of mentoring and advising. So I can see a role for everyone, for young people, for senior people. I am life fellow. Why I became? Because I became member very quickly. It's a very another message to young people who listen us today. Just become member as soon as you can, because those years count for your career. And you know, elevation in women in engineering is very critical for career. So if you become senior member, this means a lot. You get beautiful letter from women in engineering, and you can share that letter with your bosses, with your administration, and you have recognition. And this is very important for your career, for tenure, for whatever, for promotions. So it's very important to focus on, and in my judgment now, from my perspective, I love writing letters of recommendation. I love making cases for some people who really even are very close but not yet, and I love doing that to assist. So my role now is, and my joy is now to helping others in category of advancing, on promoting, and on helping in your careers. So women in engineering have incredibly broad spectrum of assisting, of being part of changes, IEEE changes. And I will add, as mathematician, I will add what I always wanted. I always wanted to change the number 11% of women in IEEE. So that was my big challenge, but apparently it's not so simple. But if each of you who are even now listening to us today, if each of you will make sure that you are a member of Women in Engineering, and if each of you who are members will bring one more member, this is how it works. And if you will bring two members, very soon you will be on exponential, growth. So this is what I would encourage everyone to be aware, to be engaged, and this is just unbelievable opportunity for women networks and for not only women in engineering, but women in STEM, science, technology. I also add art, because I am on the board, education board of local museum of art. Art is my recently the last 4 weeks I've been on. I am almost on every committee at music department as external member. So I just love that kind of engagement and that kind of visibility bringing to women in engineering. Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely, we're growing together. That's a great point. So and it's a network. It's like a large family all around. IEEE itself is a large family, but having the same vision and mission together with women engineering members. So we are growing together all around the world. And for the Lisa's comment, I also posted the website and also that statement on the live chat, so our audience can also read and see there. Like to continue with Takako?
Yes, okay. So my vision for IEEE is to establish a strong network on our career development as an engineer, and also realize our dream of building a zero gender gap society where men and women will work together hand in hand in every corner of life with equal responsibility, especially in STEM field. This is my vision of the WIE. So because actually I was I was working as a software engineer in Rico. At that time, I was sometimes so isolated. So there are very few women in STEM field. And now still, so some countries, so our female engineers tend to be isolated. And we are sometimes struggling, so our life, work-life balance and kind of so as working mother. So we need to enhance our network and communicate each other to encourage, empower, especially younger generations. I would like to support younger generations to help their career development. So therefore, I would like to, encourage the building stronger network. So for especially for young generations, I think the WIE should do that for helping them. This is my vision for IEEE WIE.
Thank you, Takako. And can we hear also Ramalata?
So it has been wonderful hearing all of you. You have a great vision, and I'm crossing my fingers that all of these visions will come true. In addition, because I'm from India and I have been to countries nearby my country and also in other regions where it is difficult for the women to come out of the cultural impedance and to shine in their career. So I think IEEE Women in Engineering should take this up as a responsibility and try to engage the women in these countries. Of course, we are doing it, but more focus. Right now, we are doing it through WE Power, especially for the women in energy and power sector. And after seeing the response to these activities, I realized that the same has to be expanded for the other areas, other domains also. The reason is the awareness about the IEEE Women in Engineering in rural areas is very less. Urban areas, of course, everybody knows that, but in rural areas, even the awareness that the women equality or the diversity and inclusion, that is very less. So I feel that we need to reach out to those people where it is really needed. From the education and career point of view, how IEEE Women in Engineering can help. That should be our future direction, and also that should be our future vision. And one more important thing I felt that women in engineering should take up is, because I'm from assistive technology background, I feel that humanitarian activities are more towards women-oriented activities. And I feel that IEEE Women in Engineering should engage more and more in uh, humanitarian activities. For example, the impact of this pandemic on women empowerment has been disastrous from what I have been reading. And I feel that women in engineering should take a stand in this, and policy making, other things should be done, but that will take a little time. But at least the awareness creation, the activities that can start right now. So these two are very important areas for the women in engineering to grow and to reach out to all the people. See, the women groups in under different societies, they have to become members of IEEE Women in Engineering. They have to come together. At least within IEEE, we should have all the women a part of the IEEE Women in Engineering. So this can expand to the other areas around the world. It can be local, it can be global, but finally, we should be able to bring up the women from every wake of life into the STEM career.
Thank you very much for highlighting that. And then lastly, for this topic, I would like to hear from Nita.
I don't think I can add anything to this great vision that's been laid before us, but maybe I'll take a shot at summarizing and coalescing some of these ideas.
Sure.
I think this concept of network, community, bringing together people of similar concerns, backgrounds, passions, that's one element, community building. The second, this idea of being a voice for an individual. So through women in engineering, we can amplify and stand up and advocate and have integrity against some element for action. I think that's a second key vision. This idea of career growth and nurturing partnerships against and with everybody, right? Bringing all these different communities together. And then I think the most important part of it all is this idea of service to humanity, whether it's through inspiring the next generation and increasing our numbers, as mathematician Bozena was saying, right? Like this idea of bringing inspiration, advocacy, real role models, examples, and changing the behavior or bringing other attributes to it. So I'm not going to add, but hopefully that is how I synthesize what I've heard, and it really resonates with me along those threads.
That was great to hear from you, and you actually summarized everything. And you know, like by sharing the same vision and mission, and you know, like as leaders, like you did a lot together. So it's really great to hear from all of you then, and also like you know, just like that's probably the reason like you're just like in a very similar direction, and which is great. We have the harmony around, you know, throughout these generations, and we're now hearing from all of you. Thank you for sharing your vision for women engineering and leading for the future. And so actually it's probably a little bit similar, but it's actually not really a similar question, because you know, like you are a leader for women engineering, but you have a lot of leadership positions in different years in IEEE. So I would like to take this question and in, you know, from the IEEE direction. So because IEEE has a strategic plan, so recently announced like 2020, 2025. And in last 5 years, we had another strategic plan. So all the organizational units, they're just like following the same direction. Women engineering is one of them. But I would like to hear maybe briefly your vision and your thoughts about IEEE's future direction. So it's like a little bit more about IEEE's side. So can we start again with Lisa for this question?
Sure. I have to be perfectly honest. I'm so mired at the moment. I'm so mired in IEEE WIE politics that when you said that we were going to answer this, you'd be asking us this question on the call, I actually went to the IEEE website and read again about what the strategic plan was. You know, we are already following these core values: trust, global community building, integrity in action, service to humanity, partnership, growth, and nurturing. There's a lot in the strategic plan about enhancing understanding and engagement. And when I reread it, and I mean, I have seen the strategic plan. I go to these board meetings. They talk about it. You know, I am this month in particular is quite full of paperwork, which is something we can talk about another time. Exciting for WIE, but we can't talk about it just yet. But the briefest thing is to say that WIE, and I think inherently because there are a lot of women involved, they do have these core values, this idea about helping and nurturing, which tend to be more of traits that have been given to women. So sort of we've been allowed for quite a long time for WIE to go and talk to kids in school, and now there's this recognition that this kind of engagement and it's this important work with humanity is actually what makes IEEE super unique and above and beyond all the technical bits that we think about. I should mention, because you asked you mentioned that there are people on this call who haven't, they don't necessarily know what WIE is, but actually 1/3 of our membership are not female. So I don't want to generalize too much about women and the history, because actually we have a lot of male champions in this space. I wanted to throw that in there. I know we're pressed for time, so I'm trying to keep it short.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing briefly, and it's not actually short. So like, because like we're just talking about the strategic plan and the women engineering vision back to back. It's actually very same direction, but still, I want we just wanted to hear your thoughts about IEEE in general. So that's great to hear. And can we continue with Nita, please?
I think Lisa summarized it pretty well. We're very aligned. I think the one element that maybe we haven't yet focused on is this idea of technological advancement. And I didn't think it was worth mentioning because all of us as engineers, as well as our many other roles that we have, volunteer, mother, sister, but fundamentally, we want technological innovation and advancement and migrating that knowledge base and capability and solving the unsolvable problems. But I think that element is fundamental across all of IEEE. So I don't think there's more to add.
Sure. Well, still, thank you for adding. And is there anything you want to contribute on this question and to summarize by Lisa and Nita? I can ask Bojana?
I would like to, if I would be in the role of asking whether I have advice to IEEE leaders, I would like to, because I've been involved in women in engineering since almost the beginning. So, I would like to give advice. Look at women in engineering, all programs, all activities. Those should serve as role models. Women in engineering have so much to offer, and they cover so much. And now Lisa focuses on terrific programs for STEM education and how to do outreach and all kinds of role models. There are so many outstanding women, and I would like to bring attention through maybe like speakers bureau or something, distinguished lecturers or whatever, but bring visibility also to those role models and let IEEE look at that, because our organization of women in engineering, and I believe, and I really know that from experience of so many years, is a role model. Look at NITA's International Leadership Conference that was for a long time considered as a role model for every conference and so on, whatever I would touch. And the only thing that I would like to continue efforts, bring, and to respond to NITA technology, bring those representatives from all those 46 societies and councils, bring them to the board, to women in engineering. Let us have that network together, not only regions and sections and affinity groups, but also those 46 societies and councils. Let us make like the goal that we will have all of them. This is my always, mobilizing. I like looking at leadership as mobilizing, to practice. This is the practice of mobilizing people who share and to tackle challenges and to just enjoy tremendously our successes. Most women in engineering is a success story. This is how I would like to say and share and be ambassador for women in engineering. Let everyone, every society look at women in engineering. If you are looking for models for programs and so on. This is my vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Borjana. You're all surely the leaders of IEEE, and great to hear all your thoughts of the future direction as well. And would like to ask Ramalata to share.
As far as I'm concerned, since I'm passionate about assistive technology, the tagline of IEEE, advancing technology for humanity, interests me more. And I think that the future direction for IEEE should be more focused on finding new problems and solutions for them. For example, this pandemic. And one more problem I have encountered in my lifetime itself is children falling into bore wells. Though it is not in all the countries, in specific countries, it is becoming a real epidemic. So this kind of problems need technological solutions. And these solutions can come only from an organization like IEEE, and it can serve the society directly, immediately, going local as well as global. So I believe that the future direction should be more focused and stronger technological advances for humanity, especially identifying the problems first in different societies.
Thank you. So IEEE advantage to work in parts of thanks to the society communities, like under, like under and all the new initiatives that we're having. So we're definitely addressing many different parts and many different communities all around. And Takako, can we lastly hear your thoughts on the future direction?
Actually, all the leaders already mentioned. So, but I wanna focus on 2 points and emphasize. So, I would like to I think the IEEE should focus STEM education. STEM education is the key for IEEE in the coming 5 years, I think. So. STEM education for young generations and also elder people, long life education. So we have to let the people know the pleasure of value of science and technology more. I think this is very important for IEEE. And another one is diversity. So now it is we are now in a very difficult situation. So like as Ramalas mentioned, COVID-19. So to overcome this difficult situation, diversity is very important. So being united. So to be united, so diversity is very, very important. So for diversity, I believe we have to increase women's presence in society and also in IEEE. Yeah, we should have the more BOD, board of directors members, BOD members, also society president, and other top positions in IEEE for women. So we need to increase our visibility more in the coming 5 years. This is my strategy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's definitely very important for the future of IEEE.
And also
we will see great leaders.
Sorry. And also awardee, medal awardee. So awardee is also female. We have to increase female awardees. So sorry. Yeah, very important.
This is in fact excellent point. I wanted to encourage even audience who listens to us, identify and nominate if you really are aware of incredible women and so on, nominate. Without nominations, we cannot have awardees.
Yeah.
So just it's extremely important for exactly what Takako said.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think there we have to encourage female to be nominated. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Definitely. It's also important for also our audience and volunteers to know that they have a great support behind. As from many personal stories we know, at least I know, like there are so many great leaders. They're supporting all the volunteers who deserve awards, and awards are important to recognize all your efforts. It's not just to get an award. It's important for future of all of us together as the united women, not women only, but the volunteers together, and also recognize great efforts of our volunteers. So this is very important too. So actually, it's also related with our next question. So about the inspiration. So as knowing you in person, you touch so many people's lives. So you inspired a lot of people, including me. So I have so many great each one of you. But of course, I'm not gonna tell now. But for sure, about like by watching this video, many people will also remember all the great stories with you. And but also, I would like to ask from you. So while being a volunteer, you don't have to share just one fact or one story, but what inspired you the most as a volunteer? You can also share your ideas in general too. So I would like to hear your inspiration behind your volunteer years and efforts. So I would like to start with Ramaleta.
Okay. As I mentioned before, when I started as an IEEE volunteer, I was actually supported and mentored by the leaders and peers from my Madras section. But more importantly, in fact, when I was floundering without even knowing what can be done under IEEE, many students who were interested in this, they came to me and said, why don't we start this IEEE Women in Engineering? And that was the first time I had heard about it. And see, that is my inspiration. My students coming to me and telling me that we can start IEEE Women in Engineering. And then we started thinking about how it can actually impact the immediate society and how we can go out and help the people. Because doing something within the college is different, but actually going to the society and helping them, that was the one which inspired my students. So I think my motivation is getting students like that every year, new students who are motivated, who are inspired by IEEE peers and activities, coming to me and asking me whether we can do this, whether we can do that. And that motivated me so much to be a volunteer. And even now, I'm getting the same inspiration from friends like you and from others, students, even the committee people whom I'm working with. That magnanimity I cannot equate anywhere.
Thank you for sharing your motivation with us. And Takako, can we hear you?
Okay, so yeah, I had a good mentor, good role model. So when I was younger, they gave me opportunities to be leader and to be global. And I really appreciate their support and their help. So yeah, and actually I want to be like them. So this is my kind of and my motivation. I wanted to be like the role model or mentor for younger generations. I want to help the younger generations so for their career development. I think now it is my turn to support them. So this is my motivation, and I would like to work together with young generations and help their career development. Yeah.
There's no doubt you're all role models to many people in this community. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
Borjana, can you hear me?
This is one of the most beautiful topics. I consider myself the luckiest person in the earth. I had so many role models, so many inspirations, starting from my mother who survived 2 wars. And so I grew up on those teachers who really had real life, experiences shared. So I grew up that you can do it even in a difficult situation, difficult environment. You can, with help of others, you can do it. You can do so. I have that attitude, never give up, just do it. And you will find people who will help you. And who can be, I always, in every interview, I always finish that students at University of Kansas made me happy in this country. So, they are my inspiration, they are my motivation, they help me by giving feedback, they help me, like this semester, you are talking about technology. So for me, it was challenge to have meetings by Zoom, class meetings using that simple old Mac that camera still doesn't work, and so on. So, but with students understanding, beautiful understanding, with student support, with students giving idea what you can do better, how you can do. I will send you video, I will do that. You can do it. And I just say all together, we can make a change, we can make a difference, and you will always find people who will help you. You will always find one person who will make change in your life for better. So just focus on always, this is my philosophy, focus always on those positive things. And like my mother used to say, every negative you can turn into positive. And so this is just what I am lucky. I am very lucky at my place, in my family. My husband is engineer. My daughter is engineer, neuroscience. We have community of people who will, if I have some problems, I share with my family. We discuss different points of view. So thank you.
There's no doubt that all those positive thoughts and new initiatives will change the world together. And thank you for inspiring us. Nita, can we hear your inspiration?
Yes, thank you, Samay. Yes, I think it's the whole of an individual, and there are 2 parts to the whole of an individual. One is internal, so this opportunity and this motivation and this wanting to make a difference, that's inspiring. And the second is external, which we've heard many of others say, Takako, Bozena, Romalata, bringing support. And with a vision, you can always garner a team, but even if you don't have a vision, others will help you define one. And I think that is what's so beautiful about the IEEE community, is that there are so many people willing to help you. And internally, if you have this passion to make a difference, it's an opportunity to do that within IEEE. So the whole individual.
Thank you so much, Nita. Lisa?
Just to wrap us all up on this question, I was thinking about the current situation and how, despite the different circumstances that everybody's in, we have seen so many webinars pop up. Like, well done, Turkey. You've just excelled. And I've been working a lot with Ramalata lately, and she's inspiring me. But it is the people, and I'm always amazed. I think one of the only good things to come out of this lockdown is this realization from everyone around the world that this online videoing is easy. And I come from a country where I'm not resident in. I'm from Canada. I live in the UK. I've got family in China and Sweden and Finland. We do this on a daily basis. But over the last 3 months, I have heard from people both within IEEE and outside in my own personal world that I haven't seen in ages because they never did online things. And I'm inspired by the reaction that people have had to reach out and to connect with people. And my hope, we talked about future directions in IEEE. My hope is that actually this is to the benefit of IEEE. We are global, but now we are very global and we are connected more than ever. And I think that with all of what's happening with humanity and people being unwell and not having tech, it's more and more so coming to the fore about the haves and the have-nots and how lucky we are and how brilliant engineers have been to actually have this technology like Wi-Fi standards that IEEE created to connect out with this world and to make a difference. So I'm hoping that the light at the end of the tunnel for IEEE and all of us is that we continue to stay as connected as we are. And for those listening on the call, you've heard a lot about mentoring. And there are so many different ways to do mentoring programs, whether it's within IEEE or just reaching out to a friend that you trust. And I think all of these words of encouragement are just about trying to make you the master of your own domain. It's your destiny. And you need to choose how best to go about it. And people are very willing to help, especially if you say to Bojena the magic words, "Will you help me?"
That's right.
Which probably works for all of us too, though, to be fair.
I will always help, but I always need help. And my students help me, so I can help others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thanks for your kind words and sharing. But you're all already role model for so many people in this community, and thank you for everything you do. And so actually, I would like to ask two questions together. Because probably like the answer will be just like it will make more value when we hear them together. So the first question, so like you had a lot of contribution for our women engineering community, and it's a lot of commitment. So you did a lot of commitment for this, and you still do. It's you continually do, because as you said, when somebody asks you for your help, all of you are always like there whenever we need. So actually you're always super supportive. And but as a leader, it must be very challenging also, just leading such a huge organization and a huge community and lots of things to do there. So I would like to ask, what was the most challenging experience as being women engineering chair? And second question, so you can like reply together. So what was your takeaway in life after serving this position as women engineering chair? Or for Lisa, you've been already in this position or over these two years, and you for you also, like the same question. So you already have takeaways from the position you serve. So kindly ask you to reply these two questions together with your story, and of course. So I would like to start with Ramalata for this question.
She's muted still. You're muted,
Yeah.
Ramalata.
Sure, we can. Yeah,
Muted.
Oh, we've lost you. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
we lost you, so it was
I'm
the wrong
sorry.
timing that I. But thank you for catching. So I was actually asking these
you.
two questions together.
Yes, I heard the question. The only thing is, I was moving because my grandson is sleepy,
Oh,
so I had to leave my bedroom and for
of
him,
course.
and I have to come out. I've been checked out of my bedroom. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I didn't realize that moment when I was asking. But thank you.
the challenge is the reason why I'm sympathizing with Lisa right now is, as soon as I became the chair of IEEE Women in Engineering, we were asked to move the IEEE Women in Engineering Committee from under the IEEE Board of Directors to any one of the boards. So finding a home for IEEE Women in Engineering is a challenging job. So that took me nearly the whole of the year, the first year, 2011. And on top of that, I actually envisioned some of the activities towards reaching out to more women all over the world through the IEEE, the Women in Engineering videos, ebook. Kiana Tennant, who was there, helped me so much. And finally, the conference, which I planned it to do, I couldn't do it, but Nita helped me do that. In 2013, we had an event in Google, which Nita was there, and she was amazing. She helped me do that. But the 2 years when I was the chair, the most of the challenging thing that took most of my time is the governance issue, and I believe that that's what Lisa is also facing right now. But of course, we learned a lot out of it, and that gave me the confidence that I can also face any of the governance issues in any of the committees afterwards. This is for your first question. And for the second question, what was the second question? Can you come again?
What was your takeaway in life after serving the woman engineering chair position?
Okay, okay. My takeaway is that I'm no island. I need the help of all my committee members. See, Women in Engineering is such a big one where we have different committees, committee members from different organizations. Nearly 40 members come from outside, and having them all together towards the vision and mission of IEEE Women in Engineering, that is a challenging job. But even then, everyone, when given the task of becoming a member of IEEE Women in Engineering, they naturally take it up. And I believe that having everyone share the same vision, you just have to inspire them, you just have to tell them how we can share that vision, and it works wonders. So my takeaway is that as a committee, as a group, we can achieve so much.
Thank you so much. As I said, it's just a lot of hard work behind as a leader of this committee. And thank you for sharing all your takeaways and challenging stories and experiences. So can we continue with Nita for this question?
Thank you. I agree with Ramalata. It's a very complex organization, and figuring out how to navigate a complex organization is hard. Imagine the mazes, right, that you see where you can turn right, left, but you don't know if it's a dead end or not, and then you have to backtrack and then find another path. Sometimes it feels like that when you're navigating a new path within IEEE. So that was a challenge. In terms of a takeaway, I think the biggest takeaway is that no matter what you do, you touch people and impact people. And so It's really about thinking of making sure that what you do has the best intent and the positive intent. And if you can do that, then it's okay, because no matter what you do, it will impact somebody.
Thank you, Nita. Probably not everybody knows that how challenging it would be at the level that you're dealing a lot of governance issues, and actually you're representing the voice of all women in engineering members all around. So that's a huge responsibility. So probably we guess, like, not only us, but like, not people who haven't served in the Women Engineering Committee yet, but also volunteering for Women Engineering affinity groups all around. They're probably aware of the structure, but at that level, probably your experience is very intense. So it's very appreciated what you have done, what you're still doing for this community. Bojana, can we continue with you?
Yes, there is so much to say, but let me summarize very briefly. I would like, for example, I would like to see, and Lisa is going in a great direction, I would like to see representation on every board. And if we have leaders from IEEE who listen to me, I will repeat that I like very much to pay attention to women in engineering. They have so much to offer to that largest technology organization. And I also learned beautifully, which I've never done before, that I can speak beautifully that engineering is a field that spans all science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So to speak about that as a field that spans STEM, I learned through that involvement through women in engineering. But also take away, I also learned something. Being a chair of that organization and called chair of women in engineering is not right. That position should be turned into president of women in engineering. But because why? Because at my university, they don't recognize you for being chair of the committee, but they do recognize you very strongly by reduction of teaching something if you're president of. So I learned how to deal with that a little bit inconvenience. I better can represent that position as global leader, as global leader. So I never say now like chair of the committee. I never. I learn through that. So this is takeaway. Learn how to speak as a representative of this absolutely terrific organization, Women in Engineering. Speak like that, and have something to offer that is global organization and so many opportunities. And to finish, I wanted to say to audience that join Women in Engineering because there are incredible, unlimited number of opportunities. And you can do it, you can make change, you can help all others. Thank you.
Thank you, Bojana. And Takako?
Okay, so yeah, I agree with Lamara, Nita, Bojana, and managing diverse people, diverse, different activities, very difficult. And in addition, I would like to talk about my personal topic. So actually, to be honest, I struggled to be the right chair when I became the right chair. I am a typical Japanese woman, language barrier, being hesitant and less confident. So everything was new for me when I became the right chair. Fortunately, I could have good friends, Lamara-san, Nita, Bojana, Lisa, and of course you, Shimei. So, and I could have a help of WIE staff. So thanks to their support and stuff, I could overcome my fear. So, and I could conquer my hesitation or kind of less confident situation. So therefore, my challenge was being the chair. So being able to overcome typical Japanese women's fear was the most challenging experience for me. And takeaway is a value of diversity. So like promoting different activities with different people is very, very important. And sometimes it is not easy, so diverse situation. But I understand it turned out to be so amazing and successful. So knowing the value of diversity is very important. I think so. By knowing the value of diversity, I could be global. So if we wanna be global. So we have to know the value of diversity. Thank you.
Thank you, Takako. And you've been very confident and strong leader for women engineering, and just like referring to your challenging experience as we worked with all together with you, all of us. So thank you for fighting with your fears and being a great leader for us. And for lastly for this question, as our current chair, Lisa, I would like to hear your thoughts and. Still you're chairing this community. As Bojana said, actually it's like leadership. It's, so as a leader of this women engineering community, so we'd like to hear your thoughts.
Thanks. One of the things that I'm thinking about still is how does WIE really articulate what our unique contribution is to this world of STEM? We're all sitting in different countries and there's a lot going on around the world. And WIE does a lot. And that's hard to harness. So you've already heard that there's a lot going on. IEEE politics are quite intense. You have to understand how to navigate these waters. And as soon as you do, you're kind of almost finished as chair. But at the end of the day, people join WIE because they want to see change. And one of the difficulties we have is that there are so many ways to have change. It could be within the education sector. It could be through humanitarian aid. It could be a number of things. And at the moment, WIE is sort of positioning itself to look at what opportunities are there at the moment. Where can we have some quick wins? Where do we start doing some long-term planning? One example is in the education space. We used to have a liaison to the education activity board. It kind of disappeared. It kind of came back, but actually we started to build some really solid connections so that every time there's something in the education space, WIE is not thought about afterwards. We're partnering immediately. And again, in the education space, WIE is going to be putting out this sort of page of top tips for engaging specifically with girls when you go in to do talks. And no one else really does that. So it's kind of thinking that my challenge and what I think is the most challenging is where are those wins? And actually, as a profession, who should we be partnering? What are we trying to change? What is that big step? We want to change everything, but actually WIE needs to have some greater partners. And that's something we're working on now in terms of why do we talk about competing organizations? We're all trying to make the world better for young women and for women and for any age and for men and for humanity. So I think that's a current challenge for me that I would like to leave my reign as chair, to leave WIE in a position where it's much more clear what 1, 3, and 5 years of success look like. And a lot of this is slow going. So I think that was one of the questions. Did I answer both of them?
Yep, actually you addressed both of them. The second question was the takeaway in your life.
Oh gosh. Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't have a lot of spare time with an almost 3-year-old daughter who's decided to stop napping, which makes working full time very interesting during a lockdown. And she's a joy, but I don't sign up to projects where I can't fully commit myself to them. And I think that for me, that's my takeaway, that I am passionate about making a difference for women in engineering. I would not do this role if I didn't think that we could get somewhere in terms of like spending my time away from Ava. It has to be worthwhile. So for me, the biggest takeaway is that, and then the second part is that you have to be passionate and really want to do it and make a difference for it to be worth time. And the second thing in terms of a takeaway is that there's a lot of skills that I have gained as chair and through my whole life volunteering for IEEE that I would not have got anywhere else. When I got my first job, there were 400 people after one role, and I talked about IEEE the entire time because everybody had a PhD. So for me, IEEE has been able to it's been a place where I can hone a set of skills, and a lot on my own volition. So I was the one who wanted to do a networking reception and then say to other societies, well, you could emulate this and that and the other. But I think that's what got me my jobs. So for those listening, I think takeaways are that you can volunteer, you can make the most of opportunities, you learn from others. It's an amazing sort of system and network, and it has its positives and negatives, just like any other place on the planet.
Thank you so much. For those, like, we already received so many great comments, but not a question yet for the audience. Just want like to remind, if you want to leave a question, you can just leave it now, because we are going to the last round as like your advices for our volunteers. So maybe it's not last words. If we receive any question, I will address to you, but it's like you can still consider as like your general advices for IEEE and women engineering volunteers. And I would like to start with Borjana.
Anyway, I always say, do what you love to do. Just simply enjoy. So never treat those volunteer work as, wow, pain or whatever. Just find something that you are, as was said, passionate, and you love to do that. So and here is opportunity. I travel a lot around the world. And I met so many brilliant, wonderful, smart women. And I would like all of them to join Women in Engineering, IEEE Women in Engineering, because I already noticed they have so much to offer. You have to know what you can offer. So my advice is always find what is your strength. When I came to the United States, English has never been my fifth language. So students always, what did you say? What did you say? So I was, of course, upset about that. But how I found the way? All right. Who told you that Kansas accent is the best accent? So let us start learning Polish, because when I am tired, I speak Polish. So in every class, I teach a little bit Polish. And now I always joke that I cannot find place on the flight, on the plane, because so many students from Kansas go to Poland with few words. So in other words, nobody ever complained since that time when I started teaching them difficult language, because my husband says that Polish is very difficult. But I hope Lisa knows some Polish. She has roots through her mother. So, in other words, what I'm saying to audience, be aware of your strength and use your strength as just that sort of tool or whatever that you can deal and cope with obstacles. Just this is my probably best advice. Just always believe that you have some strengths. Identify those strengths and build on those strengths, and you will be fine with help of others. Thank you.
Thank you so much for encouraging the volunteers. And that's we are, as a global community, I'm sure in this community there are a lot of volunteers. They advance their language thanks to IEEE networking opportunities. So many of us are not native speaker, and it's also a way to be a global citizen. So thanks to IEEE, we are all global citizens. It's not just traveling, but by culture. So by sharing, the with these great people around. So we're already real global citizens in this community. So thank you so much for encouragement. And I would like to continue with Nita.
Thank you, Samay. I had a webinar a few days ago, and this is a story that resonates with me still from those couple of days, so my advice will be based on that. One of the comments from an individual was, I'm very scared to even type in this question. How do I get past that? And my advice was just take action. Small steps lead to big strides, so just take action.
Thank you. So, Lisa?
You want some very wise words of advice for the group? Is that what we're doing here to close off?
Whatever you're going to say will be very wise for us.
Gosh, it's late on a Friday afternoon here, and I still have 3 more hours of work to do. So how wise can I be? Let me think. An interesting.
Just be yourself.
Be myself. An interesting way of working that is very that works well. You can only ever do a next step. If you think that a task or a goal or a dream is insurmountable, try to think about, well, what is that next step that you need to do? We can only ever do one thing at a time. As much as they like to say that women are great multitaskers, I don't think anyone can really multitask. You can only really focus on one thing at a time. So ask yourself, what is that next step? Do you have that mound of emails? Well, which one do you need to do to tick off your list? That's my wise Friday afternoon word.
Thank you so much. As I said, I mean, while being as yours, you're wise. So thank you for your words for our volunteers. And Ramalata?
Okay. I wouldn't say I can advise the volunteers, because right now I'm working with so many younger generation volunteers for my SS12, which is the International Talent Show, and also for my Returning Mothers Conference. I'm amazed at the way they have clarity of purpose. So I would like to say some of the suggestions which stem from my experience. The first thing is, if you really want to learn something, start from the very beginning. So unless otherwise you start at the beginning, you will not be equipped with the full knowledge of what you are doing, and that will impede your progress. And naturally, the outcome will not also be good. The second one is, you need to self-motivate yourself, even if nobody is there to motivate you. You are your best friend first. The third one is, of course, as I said, I have built up my network by being friendly with everybody, and IEEE has helped me do it. And the young volunteers also should build up their network. Finally, they have to focus on the impact they are creating with the activities rather than the activities themselves. So that will help them focus on what the outcome is going to be, and that will make the work, activities, everything better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramalata. Takako, can we hear
Okay.
your advices?
Thank you. Okay, so I believe IEEE can help you to be global and also to be a leader and to be united. By IEEE, I believe that you can enhance your network and find your friends and role models, mentors, and opportunities. So I really recommend so join us and work together with us. So let's open a door to a new world with IEEE. This is my advice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything you do. So like it's already very late for Takako now because you're in Japan and it's almost like 2 a.m. Getting close to 2 a.m. So like we have Bojana in California. So like it's like being global. So it's just they're all around. Thank you for staying that long. I don't want to take you too long. Just we got 2 questions, so we don't have to go one by one. But anyone can take the answer. Exactly. The first question is here. How we can encourage girls in rural areas to become engineers and leaders.
I think Lamarasa is the best person to answer this question.
Yeah,
Sure.
we have a lot of rural areas in India, and I have worked with rural girls. The first thing I did was encourage my engineering students to think about the career advice they would like to give the rural children, because the children, they listen to their own seniors rather than the teachers. And I found that once I take any one of my students with his project or with her PowerPoint presentation on the career advice, the students are engaged so much, and it is really difficult for us to bring out the student, because they just go to the student and round him up, and after that it is very difficult for us to actually have him back. One of my students actually showed his robo to a set of the rural areas schools, and the girls as well as the boys, they just circled him like anything, and for 3 hours he couldn't come out of the room. He was continuously again and again activating the robo and answering the questions. So the best way is bring out your own engineering students, ask them to go to the students and facilitate their awareness on the STEM education.
Thank you so much. Is there anything to add to this question from anyone? Yes. So we can go to next question. Actually, it's the last question from the audience. Here, yes, it's here. How do you see women engineering and its activities capitalize on the post-COVID digitally transformed era?
I think, as Ramalata said earlier, there's such a burgeoning activity online. There's no reason to stop that. Once we get past this, we should continue it, leverage it. We've all learned new ways, take advantage of those new ways and advance them.
And I would like to say there's 2 items here that I wanted to add. That as chair, I actually was surprised that I didn't get, well, I get a lot of invitations to go and speak and to travel. I probably did not get as many invitations as the rest of these very well-connected women, but you can't travel all the time. And for our environment, this is the best thing ever, to be able to join Turkey with a couple of weeks' notice and do this webinar together. I think it's better for the planet. I think it is a life lesson for IEEE to show that we have the tech. This isn't hard. I think that post-COVID era will continue. I think there is something to be said about face-to-face. I do want to shout out about the International Leadership Conference from WIE. So May, if you could send that link that I sent to you just to the audience. We've gone virtual this year.
Yes.
And that
exactly.
is free for members and non-members alike, and it's an excellent opportunity to be inspired further. And at the same time, it's not quite the same as the in-person. So I do think that there is value in face-to-face, and as someone who hasn't left the house in about 12 weeks, I'm looking forward to that as well. So those are my 2 points.
I would like to add to share observation. I asked students after semester was over, I asked students the same almost question. And I was surprised with the answer. Uniformly, students said that they prefer in-person classes, in-person. I was surprised that all of them, 40 students, responded that they prefer in-person meetings. It's interesting.
And IEEE 1 Engineering ILC link is already on the chat for those who want to check it. It's an amazing schedule for virtual event, so you can check this one out.
And
if you
haven't missed anything.
Thank you for all the comments.
There's on demand, so if you've missed the first 2 chats, you can watch them again.
Exactly. Thank you so much for all the advices, and we're almost we're very close to 2 hours. Thank you so much for 2 hours of your time you share with us, and sharing all your great stories and advices and inspirational stories and your vision and everything with us. It's hard to just like express my feelings, how pleased we are on behalf of IEEE Women Engineering Turkey section team. I would like to thank all the team members behind of this initiative. They're working very hard. Kardan, Özgenur, and Anıl, thank you so much for everything you're doing for this initiative, and all your great time. Ramalata, Takako, Lisa, Anita, and Bojana. I would like to just share my last words before we close this session and summarize. And a huge thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Do great things.
Thanks.
For everyone. So this is the end of the session. Thank you for everyone for watching, and this link will be available. So if you missed any of the discussion, any part of the discussion, so you can go back and watch. You can share. It was such an inspirational session together with IEEE Women in Engineering leaders of the last decade. So, and our great friends, and I'm very happy to know all of you. Ramalata, Takako, Lisa, Anita, and Bojana. So we're just closing right now. Stay safe, everyone. And
thank you, Simai.
Thank you, Simai. Thank you. And Turkey section, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Simai.
Thank you. See you.